So I'm Karl Urich. I'm from Albany-based DataFoxTrot. There are a number of things that we do at DataFoxTrot, and I was told I have to use the word leverage at least once. So we like to help companies leverage their data assets, and we do it in a number of ways. Help companies with data strategy, data partnerships, oftentimes very unique and innovative data partnerships, and also data monetization. And in about 7 or 8 minutes, I just want to give you a little bit of it's kind of an education, but also a little window into data monetization. And why I want to focus on data monetization is we have companies that come to us regularly, and whether it's driven by top-down, the CEO read a Wall Street Journal article about data is the new oil, or whether it's the people who are intimately familiar with the data, the core assets of a company, and are throwing around ideas of different things that companies can do. You have a lot of companies that are really exploring data monetization. They may not call it data monetization. We tend to think of data monetization as any company that's really trying to create new value, new business value from data, whether it's used as a strategic lever, whether it's used as a revenue stream, or whether it's used for a new partnership. So let's talk a little bit about data monetization and maybe give you a few ideas for some things that can help you take water cooler or informal talk at your organization and turn it into something more useful and productive when you talk about data monetization. You know, data monetization really isn't anything new. For 30, 40 years, you've had this kind of data for dollars business exchange. I'm Dick's Sporting Goods. I need to get a pre-qualified list of people who care about sports. I go to Sports Illustrated. I buy a list of information. I spend pennies for thousands of records. Everyone's happy. Sports Illustrated monetizes an asset previously they've only used internally. I'm Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm happy because I have, for a relatively low cost, something that provides business value to me. So data monetization certainly isn't anything new. What has gotten a lot more interesting is that it's moved from kind of tactical, relatively easy, to strategic and complex. So it's amazing when you see the kinds of things that companies are looking to do as they monetize assets. No longer is data monetization focused around kind of basic row column information. Companies are looking to monetize data that could be video files, audio files, unstructured data, moving from data that's static and relatively have low dynamic properties to data that's real time. Everything's really in play in terms of data monetization. And you don't have to look that far. Just search, what did I search on? Companies sell data. So you have 23andMe, which is providing genomic services and DNA exploration for customers. They're reselling data to the pharmaceutical industry. The upper right, you have telecommunications companies that are collecting data on us from our mobile phones on who we are and what our behaviors are. Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, et cetera, are selling that data to other companies. And you have Deloitte and Harvard Business Review, and you have the consultants and HBR talking about an industry. You know, oftentimes they're even right that there's something there. So you don't have to look around much to see the kinds of things that companies are trying to do. But oftentimes we run across companies that self-filter, and those companies self-filter on a couple things. They think, hey, this is only relevant for me if I'm a large company, or this is only relevant for me if I'm a for-profit company, and nothing can be further from the truth. Oftentimes it's the small and medium-sized companies and the nonprofits or the public sector organizations that really have something that's unique and interesting. An Internet of Things device manufacturer has data thrown off their IoT devices that is unique. Nothing's ever seen it before. No one's ever seen anything like it before. A mobile app developer has an interesting view on the behaviors and proclivities of the app users. Or even sometimes a nonprofit or a public sector agency may be collecting data that just no one else has access to. No one else is able to collect that kind of data. So we really want to dispel this notion that it's only a certain kind of company or a certain size of company that's able to look at data monetization opportunities. What we also tell companies is if you're going down this path to look at data monetization, to look at finding new, unique value for your data assets, there are 4 things you really want to look at. And we can walk through these things in order. One of the things that, sometimes data monetization, it's driven by someone thinks it's cool or someone thinks they have to do it. So oftentimes the very first thing we do when we talk to companies up front is just ask them, what are you trying to achieve? You need to do something more than just it's cool, or the Wall Street Journal is saying data is the new oil. Is it you're trying to leverage the data as a part of a unique partnership, or you're trying to create a revenue stream from a byproduct of your organization, or you're trying to create a whole new product line? If you can't really decide what you want to do, you probably shouldn't move forward, because moving forward gets you to the second obstacle, which is can you legally monetize this data? And legally kind of captures this whole array of data privacy, data compliance, and industry-specific guardrails that your industry may have on the use of data. We kind of are the voice of reality at times talking with different companies. One of the ways that we're the voice of reality is saying the legal team that provides general business advice to your organization is probably not, and in fact, in most cases, is absolutely not equipped to help you with issues surrounding data privacy, data compliance, and data guardrails. So we strongly suggest getting equipped and outfitted with a team that can really help you understand data privacy issues. Data privacy and legal issues, I get it. Companies are risk averse. Legal concerns and overestimating the concerns about data privacy are probably, from what I've seen, the biggest barrier to companies moving forward with any kind of data monetization project. So if you get through the legal, get over the legal hurdle, you kind of get into that operational hurdle, which is, hey, sometimes data is perceived as easy. Hey, it's just data. Hey, just create a tranche of data. Hey, just do an ETL project to create some data that we can monetize. And what we encourage people to do is really look at that full operational cost. Do you have all the resources? Do you understand all the costs associated with those resources so that you don't find out a year later that you're underwater on your data monetization project? And if you really get through that, you get to the 4th barrier, which is, how many times have you had a conversation with someone about data, and you're describing some data that you're going to pass to someone, and you're usually euphoric and ebullient about it. Hey, this great data, it's going to solve your problems. And your customer gets the data, and they turn around and they say, oh, that's not what I want, or that's not what I heard you say the data is. So we really encourage this early stage discussion, whether you call it a minimum viable product or handing out, doing any sort of activity that really help you connect with your customers so that they understand what they're getting and they can provide feedback on value. So strategic goals, legal, being set on the legal front, being set on the operational front, and understanding your customer are really the 4 things that we focus on when we talk with companies who monetize data. Just due to time, I probably won't get through all these tips, but I want to go to one of the tips, which is if legal concerns and risk aversion are usually is the main reason why data monetization projects stop, number 2 usually is sort of the crown jewels theory. We can't give away this data because it is our crown jewels. Our customers will see it, or will be exposed, or something bad will happen. And I'm a believer you have to give something to get something. And I think it's a lot of times we talk with companies who initially express something as their crown jewels. Hey, we can't give this away. Usually they're middle ground. Maybe you're not giving away the data, but you're giving away the analysis on top of the data, or aggregation that's on top of the data, or a segmentation system on top of the data. Or maybe the data isn't as crown jewel-like as you really thought it is, and you can take the risk. So those are just a few things that make up our world as we talk with companies about data monetization. We're always happy. I think I said the word data monetization about like 40 times, and hopefully there's a better word for it out there somewhere. Always happy to talk with any company about data monetization, or, as we like to put it, how do you get business value, new business value from your data? So thank you very much.